Welcome back to Crypto's juiciest news, baby dolls. BTC recovering 115,000 American dollars. The Trump insider wallet has just put on another short. They've been accumulating since yesterday. It could be that Garrett Gin guy. That's what we think. And yes, friends, my special hat today. I'm already excited for Christmas because I can't wait for Year of the Snake to be over. It really has been Year of the Snake. We're going to speak about Citybug, some interest rate stuff, Michael Saylor buying Bitcoin, the funding rate reset. We're even going to speak a bit about Blockchain Backer, friends. Blockchain Backer is calling for a bear market now. He believes we are now in the early signs of a bear market. Of course, friends, whenever it comes to anybody who says this stuff when they're short term, pretty much what invalidates it, price goes up. You know what I mean? So it's another way of saying, I know the guy's nice, but it is I'm not being rude. It's a nice way of saying, like, if the price keeps going down, it's a bear market. However, if we go up, we are now in a bull. Okay, so it is another way of saying that. The BTC monthly candle is green. Very, very, very green and nice. Do you want to know what's interesting, friends? Let me tell you something. I'll just tell you right off the cuff. Because I use monthly charts, and you and I are confirming friendship. If you go back to, we all remember, so the liquidation that everyone's scared about, what we just saw, you see this big liquidation that we just saw. This was obviously just a small on BTC. The one everyone's worried about is the one which happened in November, end of November 2021. This was Bitcoin, did a huge liquidation down, and then it retraced half the move, and it was over. All right, this was pretty much the finisher. All right, this is when GCR and Kobe said the bull market is now over. They actually said that. And then we flipped red on the weekly super trend. We never came back. All right, there was a little bit of a bouncing. Everybody got bearish here. And there was a tiny bit of bouncing. Russia, Ukraine came up. And then right here, Do Kwon buys 40,000 BTC with Luna. And then they all send him down. Okay, so that's what everybody's worried about in terms of that liquidation. But that's why I want to bring this to your attention. Back then, in November 2021, look at this. November 2021 finished red for Bitcoin. It's interesting, right? It was a red monthly candle in November and December. But the capitulation was in November. We are green. It's a green monthly candle. Pretty cool. It's a green monthly candle for BTC. So, friends, all those people calling for bearish stuff, they are smelly poo bears. They're smelly poo bums. As CryptoFace would say, they have copped a pinky in the butthole. By the way, man, Mr. Cookie Face, friends, I was literally watching CryptoFace yesterday. I was laughing. It's just such a funny stream. Funny stream, man. He spent an hour and a half yelling about Chinese people and saying the whole crypto market, it's a Chinese market now. It's a Chinese exchanges. It's true, though. It's true. It is a Chinese Asian exchange cabal, and they do all collude, friends. I don't think it's a conspiracy at all to think that they all know where all the stops are, and it's all to keep themselves in the business. That's what they do. But a lot of people suspect that yesterday's or the weekend's liquidation may have something to do with CZ targeting Hyperliquid to try break some systems. Didn't work though. It looked like it backfired. I wonder. The Bitcoin weekly candle, man, this is nice. It poked on through. Now we're ready to go. So what's happening overall is we're just waiting for this recovery. Let's look at the short-term price action. What we'll do, we'll get a bit close and personal. This is the BTC chart. I really like how we've reclaimed that previous weekly low. That's awesome. So now we're right in the middle. Of course, Bitcoin reclaiming 118. I mean, it's literally go time at that point. If Bitcoin reclaims above 118, closes above here, and it's ready to go. You know, I've been waiting such a long time, man. I know I've been waiting forever. Good news, though. I mean, talk about reclaims. We can actually look at Ethereum. Ethereum, friends, look at this, man. It's strong, man. It is strong. It's actually coming back real hard. Nice V. Everybody said there would. Remember, friends, that everybody said there wouldn't be a V reversal. Literally everybody. And I said, look, man, everyone's out. Everyone's out. There's no one left to sell. Everyone said, remember, no, there's dead bodies. They're dead bodies. Carry them out. Bro, the price have retraced for pretty much the majors. So I want you to know as well, when you're looking at something like this, yeah, we still, short-term price action stuff doesn't really tell you much, except where you might go a bit from here. It is good, though, that we've reclaimed back to 4,200 for ETH. If you want to know why is Ethereum strong, on the recovery, it's because we already had the disaster. So that's why if you're holding Pulse Chain, if you're holding Pulse Chain, Chainlink, any coins out there, you've been through so much hell that in the next collapses, there will be more collapses. There's always collapses. We're just going to keep being strong in them. Okay. And by the way, Pulse Chain was strong. Pulse Chain only dropped 8% on the weekend because there's no one left to sell. It was just some correlation stuff. There's literally nobody left to sell. It's strong hands only. Okay. It doesn't make you feel good. You know what I mean? Because we're still destroyed, but it's better than nothing. You know what I mean? At least the market's kind of telling you you're ready to go for the next leg. This is Ethereum, friends. If you're doing a swing trade on Ethereum, which I don't recommend, you're better off to, like, instead of doing this is what people do, friends. So look, if you're new to markets, I get why you would do this, but it's not optimal, but people still do it. So obviously the best thing to do is to do work and research and buy altcoins, which will outperform. But there's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of coins. People are scared. I get it. I guess the next best thing what people do is they put their Ethereum on the exchange and then they take out leverage and they might do a swing trade on Ethereum, maybe risking these $700 of up here for something up here. That's what people do. But as you get to see, it doesn't always work out, does it? Because they just got forced out. Yeah, people who did that on altcoins are literally forced out. You know, friends, I've been reading a lot of Twitter messages as well from just a lot of Twitter reply people. Pretty much everybody had a friend who was 3x leveraged long on a altcoin, on an exchange. Everyone. They were 3x leveraged long on Fartcoin, 3x leveraged long on Sui, 3x leveraged long, literally everything. So everybody did do what, unfortunately, got everyone trapped in, which was literally, instead of just holding their spot coin, because this is the thing, friends, they're all playing for 4-year cycle. Yeah, that's why. They're all playing for 4-year cycle. They already thought, oh, okay, the cycles I'm going to be selling in the next 2 to 3 months max, and maybe we're going to go about 3 or 4x higher. So what they do is they put on the leverage, so you get like 3 times that 3, which is about a 10x return on their capital, and they can get out. Unfortunately, the exchange cabal just sent it to 0 first. Now, I'm still bullish. We've got the business cycle still unmoved. This is total crypto. I know blockchain backers calling for the bear market, friends. I don't think it's over, dude. Look, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, we could get into the Great Depression. Honestly, I'd rather watch the whole crypto industry go to 0 than to exit when it's at 3.9 trillion, personally, for this industry. That's just me, okay? And yeah, you know, am I breaking the rules? Could like this be the end of us? Yeah, whatever. Bitcoin dominance is looking amazing. Absolutely amazing out here. So I did the big wick up here and they're not going to get out. So friends, I'm telling you, they're not buying. Friends, every single person who's been calling for altcoins to collapse, did they buy on the weekend? Hell no. No, they didn't. They don't buy, friends. When people just call for lower stuff, they don't buy. Look at gold, man. Gold continues to rally, friends, up 4,100. Do you remember we had all the retailers lining up to buy gold here? So I'm actually very confident these next parts of gold, we're going to see more ranging, more sideways stuff. Because that's what happens with retail. They come in, when retail's in, everything's distributing. All right? Everything's distributing when retail's in. And it ends up being the top when you look at it from further on. What I'm now going to do is I'll show you some BCB charts. So here he is calling for, I guess, the end. Let's check him out right here. So this is pretty much that Bitcoin. Remember the Bitcoin fractal? Here it is right now. This is what he was expecting before the final parabolic move. And then he says this might have been it, but then we just come straight down. Do you just see now there's been a change in this picture? Friends, look how much of a scam. Friends, it was literally a scam, bro. They literally manipulated it. Friends, look how unnatural the chart looks on this left. Look at this box. Look how unnatural that looks. Break the high, come back, break the low. Altcoins look even worse, okay? So it looks very, very, very unnatural to do that. Very unnatural. Okay? But that's what they do, man. They just break it. Too many people. Look, in the past, people would have had higher leverage in the previous cycles. They wouldn't have done 3x. They would have done 10x. Okay? If you do 10x leverage, they just got to send you down literally 10% and you wipe everybody out. But people... now they didn't have 10x leverage. Most people had 3x leverage. 2x leverage. To get a 2 and 3x leverage person out, you've got to send it down 30 to 50%. And they did. Okay, so yeah, it is sad. They're scum. They're scum. This is a fractal of the past. He's showing Ethereum and he's got the fractal of it coming down. It could be it. I'm willing to go down with the ship. I don't give a crap. I'm not getting out. Yeah, so he says he's showing these fractals of how XRP's just dropped and then it's had the bounce back up. But that's what happens at the end of at the beginning of the bear market as well. That's another thing that he's been showing, which is true, friends. Like, we're just putting squiggly lines. Here we have XRP, the XRP again going down. He could be saying it could bounce back. He's still 50% out. Here we go. Mr. J Plush. I just saw BCB's recent vid. He's about 75% to 80% bear. He says everyone else is bullish though, which I don't agree with. Maybe everyone's still left. By the way, I'd say in Uncle Bobby's private content, he's quite 50-50, maybe 50% bull. Everyone talks poop on Sailor, but he's literally just executing the conviction play. Yeah, Mr. Calan, you're all right. So, now Mr. Calan as well. But before we go to Mr. J Plush, thank you very much, sirs. Let's play some Pumpy G music for them both. Thank you. Mr. Calan, you're right. However, when you introduce leverage, you're no longer the real believer, okay? Now you're the real gambler. Because if Michael Saylor, if you really thought Bitcoin's going 100x, why are you leveraging, bro? Why are you leveraging if it's really going 100x? If it's really, because that's his target, right? That Bitcoin's going to 13 million or whatever, right? Yes, you really got to think about that. Mr. J Plush, you are correct, sir. Look, man, you'll be watching my videos, guys. How many tweets did I show you of people coming out literally saying, I'm never touching altcoin again. Stocks are way better. Altcoins are trash. Retail's never, ever going to come by. No one's ever going to come and touch this stuff. And I'm like, join the line and I'll see you back at the top, brother. Okay. I'll tell you what retail wants. They want to buy highs. Okay. They will come back in. They said the same thing about crypto in 2020 zombie virus. Okay. So I'm very confident of that. And you want to know as well, you're like, but how do you reconcile the fact that in the past, you know, we had the capitulation weeks and everything out here? Well, friends, back then you had others BTC had rallied up 400% total in 2021. And then in 2017, it rallied 1800%. So friends, our others BTC only rallied 45% and then we capitulated down. That's why, like, others BTC, to me, it's still in deep depression territory. I'm not concerned at all. And you can see from the business cycle as well, when crypto was capitulating in that November 2021, let's see what the PMI was, friends. Here we go. PMI was 60. The PMI was still 60, man. Different. It's just, that's it. It was different conditions, different part of the cycle. We've got a PMI still contracting, man. It's still below, it's still 49. Yeah. So that's why. So that's why, friends, you always got to look. Where are you? Where are you? Look, friends, of course, it can go to zero. It could be the beginning of the bear. It could all be over. I'm holding. I don't give a crap. Whatever at this point. Check this out. So the Trump insider wallet, friends, is short 300 million BTC again. The hyper unit bear whale who shorted $1.1 billion of crypto right before Trump's tweet. Remember, it is a Trump insider. He kept shorting up until 1 minute before Trump tweeted. He shorted until 8:49 GMT. Trump tweeted 8:50 GMT. Okay? And then this guy covered at the bottom. All right? He covered at the bottom. So let me know what you think. He's now short. That's why, friends, look, some people have said, but if we saw these guys, why didn't anybody join in? Because we saw this thing fail before. We saw another insider whale. They were trying to trade Trump's tweet. It worked the first time, and then the second time it took a little loss because they were hoping for a super bad reaction, and then Bitcoin only dropped like 1%, and then it just by the end of the session, it recovered back to break even, and he got out the day later. That's what we saw happen once. So it's not so easy to predict if the market's offside or not, or caught on a position. Check this out, friends. Citybug are going to launch its crypto custody service in 2026 as Wall Street expands deeper into digital ass. Well done. Digital ass. Better than analog ass. Doesn't feel like a bear market, bro. Bear markets, look, friends, I know everyone's got their own theories. I'm just telling you, man. The bear market will start when you've killed the final bear. Kill the final bear. Plenty of people bearish. Plenty of people bearish. Plenty. well, friends, you still have big major channels still saying 4-year cycle and it's over soon. All of them, many of them. Okay, they're ready. They're ready. So at bull markets, they die on euphoria, you know, and that's why a lot of people say, no, we haven't had euphoria. We haven't had euphoria. Look, man, there's your opinion, and then there's the data. The PMI data says people are literally strapped. Okay, they're not acting with euphoria at all. They have not had euphoria as a PMI over 54 environment. Okay, you can get to then somewhere in the midst of that 12 months, somewhere people misallocate capital. So we'll see. Markets are pricing in a 98% chance of a rate cut, October 29. It's all priced in, remember. We've got 2 to 3 cuts to come. In a few days, friends, we're going to have the US Kippy. Hopefully it comes out a bit cooler than expected. So we'll see. Timely, friends, just to let you know, crowd favorite Timely bought 128,000 Ethereum on the weekend. They bought the dip. Okay, they bought the dip. Bitmine Immersion now holds 3 million Ethereum. That's Tom Leeds. They actually added 200,000 ETH. Pardon me. Wow. Pardon my Chinese, French, and Italian friends. They added 200,000 Ethereum. Pretty nice. But yeah, Tom Lee's turbo bull like us as well. MicroStrategy have acquired 220 Bitcoin. So obviously a small amount. And he bought Michael Slater did buy the exact top, just to let you know. But yeah, whenever we have these discussions, friends, I want to look at the Bitcoin treasuries. And the two I'm most concerned with, I look at MicroStrategy and I look at MetaPlanet. So MicroStrategy's MNAV is 1.211. It's very, very, it's like it's creeping. It's going to keep downtrending probably towards 1. MetaPlanet's at 1.10. Oh yeah. Look, man, it's been time for altcoins for a long time, but you know, it's taken a sweet ass time. The economy's got to recover for the middle class. Now this is pathetic. Stake and Shake have quickly backed down on their accepting payments in Ethereum because of the Bitcoin community backlash. The chain suspended its poll within hours, saying our allegiance is with Bitcoiners. Wow, man, you could not get a more pathetic outcome than Stake and Shake. Wow. So, isn't it funny? We had the altcoin capitulation over the weekend, and they're like, you know what? Bitcoin. Ah, man, it's going to be funny. Imagine they accept the payments at the top. That'd be funny. So they banned Ethereum at the bottom, and they accept it at the top. That's most likely what they'll do, which is funny. By the way, just look, friends, newsflash. They're all going to capitulate. You want to know why? Because everybody wants to hold the US dollar. They don't want to hold Bitcoin. Yeah, I want to hold Bitcoin, you do, but people can't handle the volatility. Yeah, but you're like, oh, but Sommi, but the volatility is going down. Habibi, trust me, okay? Go and speak to the average person. Friends, the average person literally loses their mind if they're holding something and the price quote is 5% lower. They lose their mind. They literally lose their mind. The average person cannot accept the fact if they have, $100,000 if they now have like 5,000 less. They can't accept that fact. No. And with me, I'm like, still got 95% left. Who cares? That's you and me. Yeah, because we're skits. Because we're in crypto. They are not like that. The average person just wants $1. They don't mind getting debased from underneath. Check this out as well, friends. Great news. Funding rates across crypto have hit their lowest point since 2022 crash, marking one of the most severe leverage resets in crypto history per Glass Chode. So these are the funding rates. Just to remind you, okay, so remember in crypto, we don't have deliverable contracts. They're infinite rolling duration. So how do they settle them? People who are long and short on each side, they pay different rates to borrow the money. So if there's too many people who have hit market on the long side, there's too many aggressive longs, well then it becomes more expensive to be a long position holder on a leverage exchange. And then you will pay higher rates to the people who are short, and it gets paid every hour as a little funding rate. And then vice versa. That's why at the bottoms, what happens is all the longs are gone and you just have people who are net short. And then you'll see it'll actually pay you to be long at the bottoms. And then it's very expensive to be short because you're paying a premium pretty much to be short because it looks so bad, right? But that's actually what happens at the bottoms. That's why they're saying, look at these, the funding rate, check this out, friends. Funding rate is down here, down to -1 on the right-hand side. See this spike down? So when you have a negative funding, it means like if you're holding long, if you're owning it, yeah, it costs negative, which means you're actually getting paid to be long. Right? And that's why at the tops of the crypto cycles, it becomes very expensive to get long. Very, very, very expensive. But people don't mind paying like a 30% annualized fee to be long because they're expecting big moves in the next 3 months. They don't care if they're paying a 30% annualized, because after 3 months, that's like what? Like 8% or whatever paid rate, but they're expecting something to go up 100%. That's a 2x. You see, that's why the market is expecting, and then the rates go hot, and over time, some people try to trade off them. Yeah, that can be very useful, just to give you an idea of what the market sentiment is. Now, where are we going from here? Everyone would like to know, as always. There's a few things we've got to wrestle, okay? Bitcoin is officially in its longest crypto cycle ever. It's just had straight green candles 6 months in a row. It is like that. It is dangerously close to poop. It actually temporarily, friends, below 107, it flipped red, which is interesting. I wonder what's going to play out there, but we're going to be moving into next year. Very clear. Many people calling for the end, okay? And what you've noticed is, it's funny. So thank you, Mr. J Plush. You noticed this as well, sir, because I know you watch the channel, okay? There's very, very high value content also comes from Mr. J Plush. Have you noticed, sirs and madams, everyone out there, you've noticed that every single bear, I told this to you, every single bear says, you're all bullish. Everyone on Twitter's bullish. Oh, you're so bullish, guys. I'm like, but what the hell are you talking about? Have you spoken to people? The 5 retardio cockroaches who are just drawing up arrows on Twitter is not a representation of the market. Go check your own comment section. Friends, go check out. I checked out. You don't have to go do this, but if you go scroll down to blockchain backers comment section, they've all sold. They just followed him. They're all out. People are 50% out, 50 to 65% out. Many people, they're out as well. Crypto banter, same thing. Many people, friends, they're gone. Many people are gone. And by the way, we literally just liquidated at least, by the way, the exchanges, they underreport the liquidations. They do, because they don't want the competitors to know how much money they're making, because they all know liquidations means money for them, yeah? So you're an exchange, if you really had $2 billion of liquidations, they only report like 500 million, because they don't want like the other competitor exchanges to know that they're making a lot of money. Yeah, they don't want them to know that. And liquidation's bad. Liquidations means like the exchange wins. Yeah, that means people are losing. They don't like telling other people, oh, we had $20 billion of liquidations. No one wants to say that, because everyone's like, oh, there's $20 billion of dead bodies. That looks bad, right? That's why they underreport. The underreporting number is $20 billion of liquidations. That's underreporting. I think Binance and Bybit legit, but yeah, that's why it could be 30 billion, right? It is nice to see Ethereum, its monthly candle has saved this wedge. Okay, so the next Fibonacci 7,200. I hope the 4-year cycle JITs are out from that. I really do hope they're out from that. Most people are. Yes, there's not. Look, it's not about like, oh, people are bullish, but yeah, but dude, the bull market will end when you kill the final bear. The end of the bull market, there is nobody bearish. There is nobody. Right now, you got like 50-50. That's not the end. That's growing on skepticism, okay? So we're looking for the immediate short-term price action. It would be lovely. Ethereum, fans, Ethereum's at a great price already, but 4,300, it actually officially retraces the whole move, 4,300. But this is actually beautiful. It's like, it's already in the safe zone here, okay? Now we're just going to wait and see how the rest of the year plays out. Next year's year of the horse. You're my friend. Every day is day of the friend, and every year is year of the friend. Yeah, it's been tough, man. What do you do? Also having a quick peek at pulse chain prices. They did recover a bit yesterday as well, but we still got a long way to go. Like, subscribe, belly button all. Catch you in the next one.